You're on Booktube, and it's a grainy nighttime Booktube because I don't want to go back to the setup, but I want to record another video today. So we're in a new location. There's still books, but now you get a view of nighttime Portland. Woohoo! Hopefully the video quality isn't too much to drive you away. But today I wanted to do 2 book tags, and I've already recorded one, but it got kicked down the road by Amrita. So I'm going to add this one on as the double and put it up for February 10th. Book Addict tag is after this. I'm going to do Reiner's book tag, the Booktube Backstage tag first, and then Book Addict from last month will be after that. So, without further ado, he has 8 questions, and the first one is, what camera is used for your videos? And painfully obvious, it's going to be my laptop camera and my 12-inch MacBook, so hee. Question number 2, what are some favorite film directors? I don't really pay attention to film directors. I'm not a big movie buff, and so I just took the directors of the 2 movies that happen to be my favorites right now. Nancy Meyers, who directed The Holiday, and Jerusha Hess, who directed Austenland. Question 3, which mic do you use? Which editing software do you use? Again, the MacBook's internal mic and iMovie 10.1.15, in case anyone was really wondering. Question number 4, what's the first record? And I put in album because I have never owned a record I bought or received, and I think it was received, but the first cassette tape I can remember having and glorying in being mine was by Amy Grant. I didn't realize this, but she was a Christian singer before she went pop. I think this was like her first pop album, and the song that was on it that was the hit is Every Heartbeat. Does anyone remember this one? Every heartbeat bears your name, loud and clear they stake my claim, yeah. My red blood runs true blue, and every heartbeat belongs to you. Yeah, that ending was a little bad, but yeah, I still remember it, so you know I listened to it a lot. That was probably like 12 years old. Okay, question number 5. How do you prepare for your videos? Well, usually I have no notes, except if there's questions for a book tag. No notes on books. Those are usually off-the-cuff thoughts, unless it's a specific review or comparison, and then I will have tabbed the book, and so I'll usually collate the tabs I want to talk about. But usually it's just main talking points, and then if there's stuff to point out at the beginning or the end, like to remind people about special events, I always forget those, so I tend to write those down so I don't forget to tell you. I guess the other part of preparing is that I film one day. Well, this is how it's supposed to go. On my schedule, I film one day, I edit and upload the next day, and then it goes up on the 3rd day. So 2 videos a week means that cycle gives me 1 free day, but that's not often how it works because of life. So like today, I'm recording or I'm filming and editing and uploading all tonight. So question 6, your favorite TV shows? Maximum 3. So I'm not a big TV watcher either. I have watched a lot of TV in the past, for sure, over my lifetime, but a few do stand out. I think of Madam Secretary with Tia Leone, and that was fabulous. I loved every episode, even while seeing the flaws and seeing the unreality. They did really bring to life the quote about fiction that says, fiction is the lie that allows you to tell the truth, whoever that was. The personal stuff and the demands of the job and the interpersonal politics and machinations behind the scenes, that made it really entertaining and resonant. So I really like Madam Secretary. The Wire was one that I borrowed from somebody when I was living in DC, and being so close to Baltimore, it was like de rigueur. I had to see it. Exposed me to a lot of new stuff. Style was very good. Research was very good. Acting was really good. So yeah, so that was very impressive. Made an impression. And the last one that I will always sit down and watch because they're so entertaining, both visually and verbally, is Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries with Phryne Fisher, based on the Carrie Greenwood books. It's just fabulous to watch the hairy scary, or I don't know what the term of the 20s would be, but the foolishness that goes on with the characters and the things they get up to. Very unrealistic, but beautiful to watch because of the costumes and the little bit of history from Australia and the 20s that are way outside my ken, so that makes it good. Question 7. Your preferred type of booktube videos? I would say tags normally, and some reviews, some vlogs, really depends on the booktuber. Lately I've liked watching bullet journal flip-throughs because they're very artistic and they have like quiet, soothing music, and they just make you inspired to do your own and make your life that pretty, which is not really what happens on the follow-through, but it's fine. It's an imagination exercise. The ones that I don't prefer are ones that are rants and ones that are worst of lists and ones that are like over 30 minutes, because at this point I'm following so many people that I have to choose every day how many videos I can see. And so that forces a little bit of funneling there. Question 8, what type of social media user am I? I would say primarily YouTube is where I can be found, and that is for my news and my entertainment. I really like Crooked Media. They're a media company that was basically made up of people doing podcasts who used to be in the Obama administration, and they're very smart and funny and activist about the same causes that I care about. So I watch a lot of their podcasts on YouTube because I don't listen to podcasts. I'm also on Twitter every day. That gets me news and also humor and talking to other authors. And then Pandora, it's not very social, but it is media, and that is where I listen to a lot of music for when I'm dancing or when I am working and I want some background. So I've got probably like 50 to 60 channels on there that are curated by me over the years that I've been on Pandora. So, where does that leave me? It says tag 8 people, but so many people that I know have already done this tag. So, I'm just going to go with 4 awesome booktubers I would love to see do this tag. We'll go with Lauren at Divided by Sight, Tori at Hufflepuff Discovery, Brittany at Literarily Smitten, and Sandra at Pull Down the Moon. So hopefully I've looked and you haven't done these, and by the time this goes up, you still haven't. On to the Book Addict. I wanted to do this tag today, the Book Addict tag, because it's so fun. Amrita did an amazing video, and it was a hard act to follow. So Amrita by the Book is the one who tagged me, and Rosie is the channel who has the original tag. I'll link those down below. But let's get started because there's lots of questions. Number 1, what's the longest time you can comfortably go without picking up a book? I would say it's probably like 4 days. There's a couple of different factors. If I'm on my own, I'm definitely picking up a book every day. If I'm around other people and I have like a mission to accomplish, like I'll go until I can't go anymore, and then I'll have to read a book because it's like one of the main ways I recharge. So it's kind of like introvert, extrovert, ambivert, bookavert. Because they say that's where you get your energy from, being alone or being with people. No, I read books and get energy. Maybe it's a superhero thing. Anyway, question number 2, how many books you carry at any one time? Since I traveled down here for like 6 weeks, I took 11 books with me and like 200 audiobooks because it says including ebooks. I don't really read ebooks. I have to read them on the computer, and I'm on the computer a lot for social media stuff. So, audiobooks is like the vast library at this point. But yeah, I took 11 physical books in my one suitcase when I drove down here. If I was going on a vacation for like 1 week, it would probably be 3 books, but then I'd come back having visited all the bookstores with like at least 5 more. So that's how I roll. This is a foregone conclusion. I hope you know this, Amrita. So, yes. All right, question number 3. Do you keep every book you buy or receive, or are you happy to pass them on to make space for more? Having lived on my own for quite some time now, I've evolved, not to say one's better than the other, but I've changed from keeping hold of most of the books to like passing them on, and having a much lower threshold for being able to let go, which I feel is an achievement for me because I like things and especially books. So the problem right now is because of the pandemic, I've had like 4 bags of books ready to go somewhere, and I was holding on to the possibility of being able to sell them back to Powell's, and Powell's is not accepting used books. So how close am I to letting them go and just like giving them for trade credit or into little free libraries? I don't know. We'll see when I get back home. Question number 4, how long do you spend in a bookshop in a standard visit, in a typical visit? I would say an hour and a half is probably the mean, because after then, you'll know this if you're a book addict, after then you get like a soreness from reading the spines one way on the shelves. See, I told you this is a dead giveaway. Or you get like wrist fatigue from holding the stack of books that you're going around wishing you could take all of them home with you, and so you need to like put them down and make your decisions by the end of the visit. So yeah, about an hour and a half. Question number 5, how much time a day do you actually spend reading? And here I'm going to mix in a little math. The average is about 30 minutes, but the mode is probably more like an hour and 10, and I will let you Google that like I had to. All right, question number 6. Where does picking up a book go on your to-do list? My first response to this was, well, it's kind of like reward time. So it goes after like a couple chunks of things get done, and I feel accomplished. I reward myself with being able to read for a block of time. But also, as I mentioned, I get energy from books. So it's also an R&R necessity. So if I'm feeling like wiped out, I'll read. And that doesn't go on a to-do list, obviously, but it needs to be slotted in there so that I can keep going like the Energizer Bunny. Question number 7, how many books do you own in total, including ebooks? And like I said, I don't really do ebooks. I probably have like a couple dozen left over from when I tried them, but I do have audiobooks. A couple years ago, I actually counted all the books in my 1-bedroom apartment, and I had close to 1,000. I've gotten down from that because I realized that was a bit excessive for what I needed. So I culled that, but if you add back in audiobooks, like I'm probably back up to that by now. So yeah. Question number 8, how often do you bring up books in conversation? Bring up the bodies? I couldn't resist. It's right in the question. I'm not even a Hilary Mantel fan. I haven't read any of her stuff. So how often do I bring up books in conversation? Not very often, because I'm not really around people in real life who do a lot of reading. Sometimes in, conversational situations with people that I'm around at the moment, I'll ask what they're reading, and there's typically nothing. Yeah, this is the outlet for that. I do find that what I bring up most often now is Booktube videos that I've watched. But a lot of, consumption of media that I'm doing these days is Booktube. So you might be my most recent topic of a conversation. What do you think about that? Question number 9, what's the biggest page count of the book? What's the biggest book in page count that you've finished? And I can only think it has to be Bleak House, because silly me, when I was trying to get into ebooks, I got a Kobo, which is the independent version of the Kindle. I went to Project Gutenberg to get a book in the public domain, and thought it would be a good idea to try reading a huge book like Bleak House by Charles Dickens. And I just looked up, Google says it's 912 pages for whatever edition Google has. So 912 pages on a screen that was this big. And that's probably why I don't like ebooks, is because my finger pad got numb from like swiping, because I could only look at like 2 paragraphs at a time. It was not, I can even remember, there's like tactile memory of that numbing. Ugh. The book was okay, the reading experience not so much. Question number 10, was there a book you had to get your hands on at all costs? And no, there's so many good books out there. There's so many possibilities. As I said, I used to hold on to lots of books, and so there's like 1,000 in my apartment, and like there's always something else that could be just as good as the new one you're lusting after. So for me, that begs a question of, this says more about the person who can't do without a single book than the fact that the book is all that great. And that's from my lens of like not wanting the planet to burn in flames because of our obsession with things. The book I'm listening to right now is called Clutter, and it goes into a little bit of this by Jennifer Howard. And yeah, I definitely want to have a book chat about that. Question 11. What is a book you struggle to finish because you refuse to DNF? Okay, so this is staring at me guiltily. I've had the same like 7 books on my current reading list in Goodreads because I'm not reading them. But it feels weird to put them back on the to read because you've already gotten into them, but you don't want to say finished. So anyway, this would have to be 12 Wild Swans, which is one of the first books that I said I wanted to read for October when I started this channel. But no, I started reading this in 2018 with a plant medicine apprenticeship program, and it was going to be like going through getting to know plants, learning a little bit like through the mythology of this 12 Wild Swans book, which is written by Starhawk, and it seemed really cool. And I think the reason I can't get back into it, get started, is that it was so disappointing that like the people who were in the program just sort of disbanded. It was before the pandemic, but it was just like not working out for everyone's schedules. And so the fact that I drove an hour there every month to be with this group of people was like my commitment, and the fact that other people just sort of broke down and so that went away was a big disappointment. So that's probably why I can't finish it. There's an emotional block there, obviously. Nothing to do with being a book addict. All right, question number 12. What are 3 book goals you have for next year, 2021, as we are at the beginning of the year? So I upped my goal too much this year, and because I had a lot of other projects like A Mighty Blaze, volunteering, and starting this channel, and YOLO Book Afloat, I did not make my new goal of 144. So I'm going to tone it back and make it 120 books. I think that's totally doable, 10 books a month. My second goal would be about my book, currently in the past, typing it up, hopefully before the year ends, and want to do the outline and do the research and sort of, click into the next phases for the book. So hopefully I will have a pub date this year, and we'll cross our fingers for that for book 6. Still no working title. It's just book 6. And the third bookish goal, I would say, yes, as many readathons as possible. Just with the idea of getting to know more people on Booktube and getting exposed to more perspectives and supporting more creators of color and all the good things. Because I feel like this platform is so much more democratic than anywhere else I've been lately. Question 13, have you had the privilege of converting someone into a reader? And not that I can think of. So no one's come back to me and said, oh my gosh, the way you talked about that book made me read more books. No direct correlation. Like there was when I was in high school theater and people came up and said, oh, I want to take drama now because of you. And like, that was really cool. Question 14, say what books mean to you in 5 words. So I thought about this for a minute, and what I came up with was, I can talk with myself. That's 5 words. Basically, like I was saying, I get energy from books and reading. There's both the solace and the comfort of books that don't challenge me but have a predictable structure, and the challenging or newness or emotionally gripping or perspective taking that is hard. But they're both experiences that challenge me to like talk with myself, if that makes sense, sort of without judgment, except the kind that I bring on my own self. Oh, it's called The Corridor of Consideration. I don't know if I talked about that before, but that's sort of the image that I give myself. Anyway, we're talking about book addicts. We're talking about book addicts. I don't need to go into all my like quirky mental things. I'm going to tag 5 channels. I don't know if they've done it before because, like I said, I take forever to do tags. But I tried to avoid the ones that Amrita tagged, so at least I didn't do that. Let's try Lauren Frolic Through Fiction. Aldi Books, who I recently started following and who has great commentary and reviews on books. Blatantly Bookish, who also had a lovely holiday series and I'm excited to see more of. and Emma at A Cup of Books, who does like mostly nonfiction, but also has really great recommendations. Hopefully you're on your way in terms of your book goals, and thanks so much for watching.